everybody, Sticks here with the Token Minorities, bringing you another deck on Pokemon TCGO, and today I am bringing you a deck that I have wanted to do since I found out about the Evolutions expansion coming out, and that is a deck centered around the reprint of the original base set Charizard. And before I get into the deck, just a reminder that if you liked this video or found it helpful, please leave a like, drop a comment, and maybe subscribe. It helps us out a lot and lets us do more for you guys. Now, as for the question of the day, I'm going to have to go with what iteration of Charizard is your favorite in the entire TCG? Now, let me explain what that means. There have been plenty of different forms of Charizard. There's the base set 2, which are the same thing. There's been Shining Charizard from, I think it was Neo Destiny. There was Charizard EX from Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Charizard EX from Flash Fire, Generations, and now Evolutions. And then there was also like Charizard Gold Star, and I'm sure there are other ones that I'm forgetting. Oh yeah, Crystal Charizard from Aquapolis or Skyridge, I don't remember which one. But either way, Charizard has had a huge presence in the TCG, and it's been reprinted in so many different forms. I want to know which iteration is your favorite. If I had to answer this question, I would have to say that my favorite Charizard would be the Skyridge one, or Skyridge or Aquapolis. Either way, it's the Crystal Charizard. And not just because it's super expensive, I think it goes for like $100, $200. Actually, if you can find it for $100, scoop that up, because that thing is ridiculously expensive. But that is my favorite, because even though like the Gold Star Charizard and Shining Charizard are shiny, Crystal Charizard is just so cool in that it can become any ability. I know that all the Crystal Pokemon were highly uncompetitive. I mean, even more so than any Charizard in this evolution set in terms of lack of competitive viability. But either way, I still think that card is so cool and has been a card that I've been chasing for a very long time. Still have yet to get my hands on it. I have managed to get a couple of the Charizard EXs from Fire Red, Leaf Green, the Shining Charizard, and like 7 different copies of the base set Charizard and one of the base set 2. But either way, Crystal Charizard is my favorite iteration of Charizard, and that is something that I'm still looking for and will be looking for a very long time. So which iteration of Charizard is your favorite and why? And if you say Charizard EX, please specify which set that you like it from. But anyway, on to the deck. Like I said, this is centered around Charizard from Evolutions, the reprint of the original base set Charizard. This one has 150 HP, while the original Charizard had 120. Fire Spin still for 4 energy, but instead of the 120 that it did originally, or not 120, 100, I apologize. Instead of the 100 that it did originally, this new Charizard hits for a whopping 200 damage, knocks out any Pokemon EX that's not Mega or with a Fighting Fury Belt, and is a non-EX, so that is an incredibly strong attack. And its ability, Energy Burn, all energy attached to this Pokemon are fire energy instead of their usual type. And honestly, this is an amazing reprint of the original base set Charizard, because the original base set Charizard had the ability Energy Burn, the same thing, except this Charizard's ability is in many fewer words. All energy attached to this Pokemon are fire energy instead of their usual type, as opposed to the original text for Energy Burn. I'm holding it right here in front of me, that's why I'm able to read it. As often as you like during your turn, you may turn all energy attached to Charizard into fire energy. For the rest of the turn, this power can't be used if Charizard is asleep, confused, or paralyzed. Now that is a lot fewer words, but I actually think that the new Energy Burn is a little bit worse than the old one, because in the old one you could run things like Rainbow Energy, and that would be able to be moved around by things like Hydreigon, Aromatisse, Klinklang, stuff like that. They'd be able to be moved around, but with this new Charizard, all of them are fire type. I mean, they're fire type and they cannot be any other type, so they don't get to be moved. So I think that this ability is a little bit worse than the old one, but either way, this Charizard is much better, especially with the Fire Spin doing 200 damage instead of 100 for the same amount of energy. Now, this does have the nasty drawback of having to discard 3 energy attached to this Pokemon as opposed to the original, which was only discard 2. But for 200 damage, I think we'll be able to live with the discard 3, especially with cards like Blacksmith and the fact that you can attach DCE to count for 2 fire energy. As for the rest of the Pokemon, we are running a we're running a very, very streamlined deck. I'm trying to make it as streamlined as possible in order to get Charizard powered up as quickly as possible. So we are running 4 Shaman. I'm sorry, this is not a budget deck by any means, but the fact that you're going to want to be using Blacksmith as your supporter 90% of the time, 90% of the turns that you take, you will want Shaman to be your draw support, and you'll need Shaman to be your draw support. Otherwise, you'll just kind of be left in a pretty precarious position. We're running a 4-3-4 of Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard. I had to go with the Evolutions print of all of these guys, even though there are other Charmeleons and Charmanders, just for the retro value. And also, if you are running the reprint of base set Charizard, it is sacrilegious to run any other Charmander or Charmeleon. Actually, I kid. If you want, you can run the Raging Claws Charmeleon. Let's see if I can find that guy. Where is it? It is... Yeah, you can run the Raging Claws Charmeleon 50 plus 10 for each damage counter on this Pokemon, and then run that with something like Shrine of Memories or something that allows you to reuse attacks. I know there's another Charizard that had Recall, but I honestly just use this one because I don't plan to be attacking with Charmeleon. And also Flamethrower 90 and Discard a Fire. That's not bad for a middle evolution of a Stage 2. So that's why I'm running these guys. 4-3-4 because Charizards are only attacker in this deck, so you want to max out on as many of them as possible. As for the items, running 2 Level Ball to get out Charmander and Charmeleons. I'm running 2 Rare Candy. You can run 3. I'm just running 2 because, I mean, that's honestly completely personal preference. I found that Rare Candy was clunky some of the time, so that's why I'm only running 2. Running 3 can definitely be beneficial because I have run into situations where I would like a Rare Candy, but I haven't been able to get it. However, I mean, that's, again, my opinion. It's completely up to you and what you decide to do. I'm just running 2 because that's me. I'm running Sacred Ash as opposed to Super Rod because you want the fire energy in the discard pile for Blacksmith. So, I mean, running Sacred Ash, you're able to get Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard all back in the deck, as well as any additional Charmeleons or Charizards that you had to discard along the way. Sacred Ash is just much better in a fire deck that utilizes Blacksmith because of the ability to get more Pokemon while leaving the energy in the discard pile. I'm running 1 Special Charge because we're going to be discarding our DCEs almost all the time. Unless you manage to get 4 fire energy on a Charizard, which I have a couple times, you're going to be discarding your DCE and one of the fire energy. So getting those back in the deck and be able to redraw them later in the game is absolutely essential. So I'm running 1 Special Charge. 4 Trainer's Mail to help with the consistency of the deck. This deck is clunky because it's a Stage 2 based deck and a Stage 2 with 4 energy attacks that discards, so very clunky. Trainer's Mail helps with consistency. 4 Ultra Ball to get everything out, get a guaranteed Shaman, guaranteed Charizard, whatever you want. 4 VS Seeker to reuse our supporters. And as for the supporters, I'm running a very weird line from my original. I mean, you have the standard Sycamore, N, Lysander, and Pokemon Ranger because that's the line that I'm most comfortable with and is the line I like using. Sycamore and N, instead of being 4-2, are now 3 and 1 because I am running 3 of the Blacksmith to help power up Charizard each turn. And Blacksmith, I'm running a whopping 3 copies. You could run 2. I prefer 3 just because this is the card that you're going to be using as your supporter for the turn. And if you're not, then you're kind of in a bad position. I mean, Sycamore, don't get me wrong, very, very good, very, very helpful in the early game and potentially even late game in the right scenario. So that's why I'm running 3 of them. But Blacksmith is the supporter you're going to want to use to get those fire energy from the discard pile onto a Charizard. And then I'm also running 1 AZ. We start with Shaman half the time. I mean, statistically, you will start with Shaman half the time because we're running 4 of these and 4 Charmander. This way, one of the Shaman isn't just useless and isn't just used up in the active spot to where you can't get the setup from it. Play down a Charmander, AZ up that Shaman, play it down, and it's just like you started with a Charmander. And AZ is actually pretty solid in a lot of scenarios, so that's why I'm running this weird of a supporter line. But, I mean, that's completely up to you as well. We are running 3 of the Scorched Earths to get energy into the discard pile for Blacksmith, as well as help with the draw support. And that is also why I'm okay with running such a thin draw supporter line, because Scorched Earth helps with drawing power. I mean, yes, I know it's only 2 cards, but 2 cards are sometimes really all you need. We're running 2 Muscle Band, and you might be thinking, well, you might be thinking, Why would you run Muscle Man when you're already hitting for 200? Well, this allows Charizard to knock out all of those Mega Pokemon that are at 210, 220 HP, and also knock out the Fighting Fury Bell EXs that hit 200 and 220 as well. So while Charizard's Fire Spin hits for a ton of damage, sometimes it just isn't enough. That's why I'm running Muscle Band as well. For DCE, absolute max number of those, because even though you can't accelerate them with Blacksmith, it's a two fire energy attachment onto Charizard thanks to Energy Burn. And then I'm running 8 fire energy. Power up Charizard, go with Blacksmith, go with Scorched Earth, all of that stuff. So, yep, that is the deck. Let's just go ahead and see this thing in action. Alrighty, we have found one against Tia Black 14 with a grass deck. So, guess what? We're going to be hitting for 400 damage per turn once we get a Charizard up and going, which is... I mean, that's too much damage right there. I mean, I know that there's normally not such a thing as too much damage, but 200 is too much, and oh boy. We start with a Shaman and 4 DCEs, and a Sycamore. That is the exact opposite of what you want to be starting with. I mean, on the bright side, I have a Level Ball, I can get a Charmander. This is a very unfortunate opening hand. I mean, as long as I don't draw, like, my 4th DCE or my special charge off of this, then I should be okay. But I think the plan right now, let Shaman take the hit first turn, power up the Charmander in the background, put a DCE onto it, and then go from there. So, I mean, I think my opponent's running a Sceptile deck. I mean, that's what it looks like. And we do get 3 mulligan cards, which is phenomenal. And, oh, gross. That's even worse. This is an absolutely horrid opening hand. On the bright side, none of my Charmander Charizards are prized, so that's pretty good. I mean, I am going to get both my Level Balls, so I'll be able to get 2 Charmander out, but oh, this is such a bad opening hand. Because I can't even play it down to where I'd be able to Shaman, so I'm just going to have to Sycamore, get rid of 2 DCEs, 2 Blacksmiths, and a Shaman with that. That was disgusting. So what I am going to do is go ahead and Sacred Ash back in the Shaman. Make sure I have it. Ultra Ball, get rid of the... No, I don't want to get rid of the Rare Candy. Get rid of both Muscle Bands. I won't need them in this matchup. Muscle Bands are completely useless to me. Grab a Shaman, play that sucker down. Hopefully get a Charizard and something. Okay, I get nothing. So, I mean, that's how it goes. I do have an N, so that's something I can work with. I can... So, if I can get a Scorched Earth or an Ultra Ball, I can potentially do something, because then I can get rid of the N and an Energy, and okay, there's the Head Ringer, so that is unfortunate. And my opponent is just going to go for the Sleep Poison, gets heads, that's fine, honestly. Like I said, this deck is slow, but once it gets going, if you can consistently stream Fire Blasts, you are just completely good to go. Then I'm going to go ahead and evolve into Charmeleon, I think. Yeah, and then Sycamore away the rest of my hand. I hate to do this, but it's something that I have to do occasionally. Let's go ahead and Scorched Earth, Ultra Ball, get rid of the VS Seeker and the other Ultra Ball. I know I have a couple Blacksmiths in the discard pile, but I'm not too worried about it at this point. I am just going to Shaman, get some more cards. I can Scorched Earth next turn if I really want to. And okay, I get 2 Charizards. Well, might as well play down the other Charmander, Scorched Earth, get a couple more cards. And there's a Blacksmith and a 3rd Charizard. So, I mean, admittedly, this is not how I wanted to start at all. But, I mean, I'm going to be able to get a Fire Blast off of me, unless my opponent, of course, Lysander's in my Charmander and knocks it out. Or my Charmeleon at this point, but I'm going to be able to get 2 Charizards up. I'm going to be able to AZ up the Shaman unless my opponent knocks it out. And honestly, it doesn't look like my opponent has much of... Never mind, he has something. I didn't realize... Oh, he had two somethings. So I am completely wrong. As long as he doesn't get another energy, Shaman will survive the turn. But even if Shaman doesn't, I can Charizard and then immediately Blacksmith onto it. And then knock out the Sceptile. And okay, my opponent didn't get anything. That is completely fine with me. He does get heads again on the sleep, and I do stay asleep. That is fine. I have the AZ, and Guys, I'm going to be able to get up 3 Charizards this turn. How awesome is that? So let's go ahead and evolve Charizard number 1. Evolve Charizard number 2. Go ahead and Rare Candy into Charizard number 3. And then AZ up the Shaman, promote the Charizard with energy, and then just destroy this Sceptile completely. Haha, there we go. And then I can even play the Shaman down, get a couple more cards for next turn, get ready to be attacking again. I even get a DCE. This is beautiful. Let's go ahead and Fire Spin, knock out this Sceptile. 400 damage. Complete overkill. Didn't even need the weakness. Am hit by Bursting Balloon. That's fine with me. Let's go ahead and take a couple prizes. And wow, I'm suddenly in a phenomenal position because I can get more energy up on Charizard next turn. Well, okay, there is no next turn because my opponent just forfeits. That is fine with me. Charizard did its job, and wow, we got 375 coins. I am completely okay with this. And we're closing in on the daily challenge. Even better, Charizard came through, able to absolutely destroy the Sceptile. I don't remember, was that, no, that was Ash's Sceptile versus Maze Blaziken. Never mind, I'm wrong. But either way, that was a very cool but very quick match, so I'm going to go ahead and try to find another one with this deck. Alrighty, we have found another one against Fofo? I don't even know how to say it. Fofo TCG. There we go. With a Psychic deck, so I'm interested to see what my opponent is running. We do win the coin flip. That is great for us. We'll get to go first and hopefully start with the Shaman again. Okay. Wow, that sucks. I mean, on the bright side, well, at least I'll... What is my opponent running? Devolution Spray, so I'm thinking... Is that Bats, maybe? Maybe... Well, the only other Devolution... I mean, it could either be Alakazam or something with Bats. Either way, it's actually a solid matchup for us because Charizard can one-shot Alakazams. And, okay, I get a Lysander, and yes, this is confirmed to be Alakazam. Let's go ahead and level ball for a Charmander. Play that sucker down. Go ahead and play the... DCE onto it. Ultra Ball, get rid of the Lysander and the Charmeleon, actually. I think I'm just going to... Yeah, let's grab another Shaman. See if I can get some more Charmanders out. I don't want to end just because I have the Rare Candy Charizard in my hand. But if I have to, then I have to. Wait. Okay, do I want to end my turn? Maybe... No, I'm just going to end. I mean, I'd rather get some more stuff set up, be in a better position for next turn. And hey, I even get the Rare Candy into Charizard anyway. So that is great for me. Let's go ahead and slap this Muscle Band down onto the Charmander. That way, even if my opponent manages to, like, I don't know, Wally or something like that, even though I think Wally excludes EXs, then I will be fine. I have the Rare Candy Charizard in hand. I have the Ultra Ball to get rid of the Fire Energy and the VS Seeker or whatever I draw for another Shaman. And I very well might potentially get a turn to Fire Spin. Yeah, that's right. Fire Spin onto the Alakazam for a knockout. My opponent does play a Remoraid. Okay, so this is an Alakazam Remoraid deck. And, okay, he's going to get 30 damage on my Charizard. And, of course, he's going to be that guy in 0-6. What a good player. Wow. Well, that's annoying. But on the bright side, Suppression won't do jack to me. And yeah, I get a Charmeleon. So I'm immediately just going to go ahead and Rare Candy into Charizard. Let's see, do I have... Okay, I have an N in my hand. Yeah, you know, I'm just going to do that. Wait, why'd I play the VS Seeker? I don't know. I'm going to discard it anyway. Let's go ahead and Ultra Ball, get rid of the Charmeleon and the Lysander. Grab yet another Shaman. Play that onto the active Shaman. That way I can retreat into my Charizard for next turn. And yeah, go from there. I even get a Blacksmith. So I should be able to... Well, first off, let's do that. Hopefully get a DCE. Well, no, not a DCE, but a Level Ball is nice. Grab another Charmander. Get that sucker down. And... Let's see, can I get something good? Well, a Rare Candy. That's decent. And if I can draw into a DCE, I will be able to knock out this Alakazam next turn thanks to the Blacksmith, which I'm playing right now. 2 energy onto my Charizard. And with Scorched Earth plus my manual attachment, and then Blacksmith, VS Seeker for the Blacksmith, I'll be able to go for a Fire Blast next turn, which is definitely what I want. I've already played 3 Shaman. That's a little bit scary. So I just have to hope my opponent doesn't have much of anything right now. And okay, well, never mind. He has the VS Seeker for the N. I'm surprised he didn't go for the Zero Sick to get rid of my Muscle Band, because we all know that he's that type of player. But either way, he's going to go ahead and power up his Alakazam. Going to go for the N. That is fine by me. I'm going to get 6 fresh cards. I will be able to knock out his even a Mega Alakazam next turn with a Fire Spin, and then get another Charmander, hopefully powered up eventually. Unfortunately, both my Charmeleons are in the discard pile, so that is a little bit that's a little bit sad, because now I have to rare candy into a Charizard. If I can get my Sacred Ash going, then I will be okay. He is going to Mega Evolve into a Mega Alakazam. It's going to get some decent damage on me, but that's not that huge of a deal overall, because I mean, Mega Alakazam is going to get 90 damage on me. That really doesn't set up any particular KOs unless he like Lysanders my Charizard to the bench and then double Mega Evolves. And okay, yeah, we see that. My opponent Mega Evolves, that's fine. He's going to go for a Zen Force. Well, guess what, bud? This Mega Alakazam is going to get one-shotted by a Charizard. Let's go ahead and Ultra Ball, get rid of the Scorched Earth and the Sycamore, I think, for a... yeah, let's just go ahead and grab another Shaman, see if I can get something else going. I don't know. And then go ahead and DCE onto the Charizard. Go for the Shaman. Draw into 3 more cards. Hopefully a Fire Energy or something that I can use. Okay, so I get the Charmander. That is fine. And double Trainer's Mail. So where's a rare candy? There you are, you sexy SOB. And let's go ahead and not Mega Evolve, rare candy into another Charizard. Go for the Trainer's Mail for... Ooh, Sacred Ash. Well, where was that a few turns ago when I needed a Charmeleon? Either way, it's here now. That's all that matters to me. I only have 1 fire in the discard pile. Honestly, I think it's still in my best interest to Blacksmith. Might as well, because I have another VS Seeker in my hand. This way I can Fire Spin, get rid of, I think... What do I want to get rid of? Yeah, Fire and DCE. I mean, I know that I will be able to... Well, that I won't be able to double fire into my... double fire with Blacksmith at this point onto my Charizard. But at this rate, all I need is a single DCE to knock it out. And my opponent is just going to end. Honestly, that's fine with me. I didn't overly like my hand. I mean, it was a decent hand. But even going down to 4 is not the end of the world. Especially if I get that. That is very nice. I will be able to... Never mind. Well, I was going to be able to Scorched Earth, but as long as I have a fire in the discard pile, that is fine. I'll be able to attach and then just Blacksmith onto my active Charizard, knock out this Alakazam, and be in a great position. I don't know why my opponent played the Super Scoop Up. I guess to get more cards from the Octillery with the Abyssal Hand. I mean, that's... I don't know what else he would be doing. Well, yeah, just Abyssal Handing, getting 2 more. Hopefully it's nothing that he can particularly use. He already played his N for the turn. And if he has a Crushing Hammer, I quit Pokemon forever. We do see the Mega Alakazam. He is just going to Mega Evolve, get some damage onto my Charizard. But you know what? We're actually going to be able to one-shot his Mega Alakazam again next turn. And he's going to put some more damage on the Shaman. That's honestly a smart play by my opponent. Except for the fact that he didn't damage my Charizard on the bench, which I'm very confused by. Let's go ahead and Blacksmith. I could Sycamore, and hopefully draw into the DCE, but I think it's better at this point. Just take the prizes. Don't let my opponent get set up at all. Knock out his only other real attacker on the field. I mean, he can Wobbuffet next turn, which is actually very unfortunate that my opponent can Wobbuffet. I just realized that. Wobbuffet will knock out the Charizard. So I just have to get 1 more Charizard powered up, and this is why Charizard's only really good against Pokemon EX, because with 3 attacks, I can knock out 3 EXs. If my opponent has non-EX attackers in, oh my god, he has a Startling Megaphone. That's going to hurt a lot, especially against the Mega Alakazams, because they will be able to live my hits, and I will have to 2-shot them. And honestly, Charizard's only that great if you only do like 3 or 4 fire spins at the absolute most. So yeah, we do see the Wobbuffet go ahead and damage this Charizard. I'm just going to promote an undamaged Shaman, because if my opponent just starts Wobbuffetting, it won't net him much at all. Let's go ahead and play the Scorched Earth. Go ahead and get rid of that energy. Play the Charmander down. That's fine with me. Play the Sacred Ash. Get back Charizard. I mean, get back everything, really. Go ahead and... How many DCE are in the discard pile? 2 of them. That's perfect. I can play the Manual Fire onto the Shaman. That way I have a way of retreating it. I'm going to go ahead and Special Charge, get back both of those DCEs. And then go for a Sycamore. And this is why Sycamore is in the deck. Gets you 7 fresh cards. Booyah. That is how we do it. And okay. So my opponent, if he decides to bring in his regular Alakazam and not Mega Evolve it, I will be able to knock it out next turn with my Charizard that is on the bench. All I have to do is slap a DCE on there, go for a Blacksmith, and we will be able to knock out his Alakazam. Wobbuffet, I really don't think he's going to be able to do much to me at all. He'll be able to do 10 damage. Well, okay, now he'll be able to do 30 damage, which can knock out the Shaman next turn. Well, yeah, he'll be able to do 30, which puts the Shaman up to 50, which then puts it at 70 or 60 damage from Wobbuffet for the next turn. So my opponent won't be able to knock out the Shaman until next turn, which should buy me enough time. He is going to go for the Super Scoop Up, gets heads, brings up the Wobbuffet. If he knocks out my Shaman, then I have a chance to win. So what I'm thinking right now is I'm going to have to crap. Well, I'm not going to have to crap. Sorry, that was... Wow, that was very poor timing on on interrupted speech on my part. But what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to fire spin into a Sky Return. I know that seems weird, and that's not what you use Shaman for, but I'm not going to be able to one-shot this Mega Alakazam anymore because I don't have any of my Muscle Bands. Fire Spin is incapable of one-shotting those guys, and I'm more than likely going to have to use my supporter Blacksmithing, so I will not be able to go for a Lysander play or anything like that. And, what I can do, honestly, I think I'm just going to go ahead and start powering up the Charmeleon for next turn, maybe? I can... You know what? I think I'm just going to sit on my hand. I could have AZ'd up a damaged Shaman, but I don't think that would be the right play. I think just forcing my opponent to knock out this Charizard, that way I can guaranteed get one up next turn, is the right play. Hindsight 2020, probably should have attached the DCE and then Blacksmithed onto the active Charizard and then Fire Spun, but that would have left me in a very bad situation, because then I would have to rely on AZ in order to pick up a Shaman. And actually, you know what, that was the right play. Oops. Well, a little bit of a blunder there by me. My opponent just does just devolve. That's weird, I guess. Oh, this way he doesn't have to knock out the Charizard, and he can start damaging the Shaman and the Charmeleon. And oh boy, this is bad. My opponent ends me down to 2. Well, let's hope it's a whopper of a 2. Well, Trainer's Mail. I can live with the Trainer's Mail. I can definitely live with that, because I think I still should have Sycamore or something left in the deck. Actually, if I had Fire Spun and he used the Devolution Spray. And why does my opponent run... whatever. He's running 3N. That's a relatively high number. My opponent is just going to Suppression, get more damage onto the Shaman and the... What the heck? My Charmeleon's not knocked out. I have no idea what just happened there. But at this point, I am just going to Trainer's Mail. Booyah! Get the Sycamore. That is great for me. Go ahead and get 7 cards. Discard the Charmeleon. I don't need to see that thing anymore. And at this point, I am... So what I think I'm going to force my opponent to do, I think I'm going to force him to knock out... Yeah. I'm going to force him to knock out the active Charizard or risk a or risk a Fire Spin next turn. And that is fine with me. Let's go ahead and Ultra Ball, get rid of cards we do not need. That's what I'm doing. I'm thinning my deck, that way if my opponent ends me again, that is fine. I'm not going to grab anything, don't need anything. And yeah, I'm in a pretty solid position. I have everything I need in my hand, which was why I didn't bother grabbing a Charmander or a Charizard, because I didn't need to thin my deck to search for anything. I mean, I might have grabbed it, but it's fine. My opponent will... Oh, crap. He will take the knockout on the Charizard, which will put him down to 4 prizes, and then I'm going to have to promote something. He does just damage a Shaman, and I know this is probably going to look like a bad play, but I'm just going to promote this Shaman on the bench, because even though he will be able to knock it out, if he decides not to for whatever reason, I will have a Charizard ready to go next turn to hit my opponent's Mega Alakazam for 200 damage and go from there. So, I mean, if he decides not to attack, then I have a retreat. I've used up all of my VS Seekers, so I'm going to have to do that Fire Spin into a Sky Return KO on this Alakazam, and hopefully that's what he decides to go for too, because otherwise I'm kind of screwed. We do see a fresh Alakazam getting powered up in the back, so I do think this is going to be a losing effort on my part. But you know what? Charizard stood up to a Mega Alakazam deck and did pretty darn well in my opinion. I think that misplay earlier really might have cost me, but at this point I have to rely on my opponent not getting rid of, or not retreating his Mega Alakazam. Because, yeah, I have to rely on him not retreating his Mega Alakazam, although I don't know why you wouldn't, because that's just a smarter play overall, because then he'd be able to attack me with a fresh Alakazam, knock out my Charizard, and then I'd be up a creek without a paddle and completely screwed. But, I mean, I have to hope. That's all I can hope for at this point. Charizard, you did very, very well, but it looks like we are just going to go down to a Mega Alakazam. What the heck? Why did my opponent do that? We just won. What? I don't know why my opponent did that. I really don't. Wow, that was amazing for us. Well, we managed to win because my opponent decided to just kind of throw the game by devolving his Alakazam, which was, you know, had 200 damage on it, and devolving it knocked out the Alakazam EX, which gave us 2 more prizes, and Charizard was able to take home a very improbable win that we should not have had, but you know what? We take those. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that stuff. And this is Styx signing out. Why not? See you guys.